get into it. The M. Reed Report. Subscribe to that channel. Subscribe to him, please, because the content that he's put out already, very in-depth. The research that was done and just the in-depth knowledge, it really is like we going to school. But like it's in the best way, because it's shit that you actually care about. Because we're talking about Kendrick and how he bodied Drake. Like it's so interesting. I'm just like, oh my god. Like going to school and analyzing a lyrical homicide. Like this shit is amazing. So please go show his channel support. On God, like this, I can't praise it enough. And shout out to Anthony Imbrunoni once again, because every time I do one of these, I gotta make sure I give credit where credit is due. Thank you so much for including me into this conversation. I love theory crafting. I love comparing ideas and comparing notes and comparing evidence. It has been an absolute honor being able to actually communicate with you about this. And it's an honor that you saw my little video out of the sea of videos that reacted to it and showed a genuine interest. I genuinely can't thank you and Des enough. So without further ado, we are going to get into it. Cinematic? Respect the art form.
I'm a good kid, man. See, that's really my lifestyle, and that's not really me talking about myself, but it's talking about the people that was around me. I feel like we all good kids. We put in this world, and we didn't have a bad conscience. Things that we seen make us into these bad, do these bad activities. But at the end of the day, we all good kids, and what really separated me from everybody else, the fact, I was allowed to dream.
Look at him.
Kid,
such a cutie patootie.
Have a father and know that, a mother.
He really did know what he wanted.
So when you hear all these intricate raps, it's just me being a dreamer, along with the street things that I've seen and putting them together. And what happens is, it gave me a whole lane that nobody really went up.
You can tell that this was recorded on an old camera.
Take toward that because
it's like a home video. I love this.
Nobody just never really told the story the way I'm gonna tell it. I really came into my own like this past 2 years. Like I was.
It's so nice seeing his perspective on it, because we very rarely get to see his perspective on things, especially today. So just going back and seeing everything that he talked about in his interviews and everything, it really gives you that insight into him and his craft and his passion that you can't really get today, because it's not easily accessible anymore. Oh my god, I love this.
Found something that nobody is doing, and that's my whole thing. I don't want to be like nobody else. I want everything I do to be original. Let me try to do something different. I'm challenging myself not to use the same pattern that everybody uses. I can do that. Everybody using that flow, and I recognize that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go around that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do somewhere, it feels like my subconscious is talking to me. Open your mind up and listen to me, Kendrick.
Yeah.
Your conscious decision, everything, you will be history. Everything fall on the snare.
God damn it. His mannerisms remind me so much of my brothers. Oh my god, just in the way he did that. Like, I literally just feel like I'm sitting here listening to my brother talk about his music. And it's not like I'm not understanding, because I'm a musician too. Like I compose music, I play it, I play instruments, I sing. Like, music is just, oh my god. And it's certain inflections. You can always tell when somebody's really passionate about what they do. Just, I love this.
Originality and not biting off each other, but challenging each other, to elevate the game.
Just another player with lots of game. Never had shit, got lost, game.
Peace and love, y'all. We're back for part 3 in our series, How to Decipher Poetic Justice, Seeds of Money Trees. Before we get into the discussion for this video, let's take a quick look at what we talked about in parts 1 and 2.
Okay.
In How to Decipher Poetic Justice for Dummies, we pointed out the depth in the lyrics to the Poetic Justice song and presented how these lyrics could be interpreted in multiple ways to diss Drake. In my second video, How to Decipher Poetic Justice Looking in the Mirror, we took an in-depth look at the Poetic Justice music video and highlighted the reflections that were inspired by the Poetic Justice film. With part 3, Seeds of Money Trees, we want to see what seeds were planted to produce poetic justice, and if those seeds can serve as good soil for the poetic justice theory to take root. Looking back on everything from Anthony Imbranone and Desiree Rose's poetic justice theory, we're going to follow their rules and take an in-depth look at the timeline of events and the lyrics in the songs released during the Good Kid, Mad City era to see if they potentially reinforce the message in this theory.
None of our platforms are monetized right now. The original video was never monetized. These videos are not monetized. We are not profiting off of this, but in any way, shape, or form.
None. It was too important.
This is and purely for the love.
That's what I'll appreciate, because I feel the same way. Is that you put the videos out there knowing that you're not going to make money off of it, but because it's so important to what you're discussing, you don't even care. And that's the constant battle that we have to fight. Where it's like YouTube, it's a platform where you can make money off of, but at the same time, you can't make money if you have this person's music in your song, in your videos, or this person's music in there, because then it's taking away from their money. That's their bullshit, stupid ass logic that they use, which is why I hated when the adpocalypse happened. I hate that shit so much. I hate their fucking monetization system so much. It's so ass. And people who aren't YouTubers will never understand. And it's a constant fight, but we do it anyways because we love the game. We love the passion that we put into our craft that much that we will fight YouTube, fist fight our own platform that we're working for, in order to put out authentic, true, real content. Because that's how much we give a shit. And that's something that these stupid, old, crusty corporate executives at YouTube will never understand.
Music, and, this is just a breakdown of the updated version of Poetic Justice.
No, you didn't miss the Mr. Reed. We're going into it now.
And,
welcome back, Nunu.
We also want to say, we know that we're white. And
Anthony is my favorite uncle's name.
We know that we're white and that we are a guest here, and we just want to contribute to the conversation. We're not trying to take away from anything. It's just all about art appreciation. We're like,
if anything, I'm trying to share this with people. Yeah. Like, hey, this is really cool. This is really, really cool. So, we know we're a guest here, and it's all love. It all comes from a place of love and loving the art and loving what we saw, because this is just really,
and just wanting to share it with everyone. So,
and that's what I appreciate is that they're like, we're not invading anything. We're not making money off of this shit. We're just contributing to the conversation. We just we want to put this out there because this is a really cool thing, and it's turning up a lot of results. Everywhere you look, there's just more evidence that's coming up that's like, damn, that it was right there the whole time. The pieces were in place the whole time. We are now discovering them, and what we have found is monumental. It's great, and it's what escalated this from just a little tiny theory that went on a subreddit to the status that it's achieved today, because there's so many prominent people out there who were involved, whether directly or indirectly, that are now tuning into this conversation. That's huge. To go from a little internet theory floating around online to one of the biggest, most talked about subjects of all time on a mainstream level, that shit is amazing. Especially from somebody who is familiar with being in the theory crafting community. It's so cool that when you have a good theory and you're putting effort and passion and love into it, you want to see it grow to share with more people. Because, knowledge shouldn't be gatekept. Knowledge like that should not be gatekept. And I applaud them for not gatekeeping this knowledge. They could have easily just kept this information to themselves and not shared it with anybody. They could have been like, we're going to give this to people at the top and we're not going to tell anybody on the internet space about it because it was our idea and it's ours and we're keeping it forever. No, they didn't do that. They literally shared it with everybody and invited people to throw their hat into the ring and welcomed them with open arms when they did. Are you fucking kidding me? Are we really gonna sit here and act like this is anything malicious when over the past 3, 4, 5 years, it's only proven to be fruitful for the hip-hop conversation because it's giving people, again, broadening horizons, expanding your reaches, into tapping into different audiences, tapping into different communities. You have college professors, Ivy League college professors that are now tuning into a conversation about hip-hop. Come on now. That's amazing. That in itself just proves how strong hip-hop as a culture is. We are now being talked about in Ivy League colleges. Your Yales, your Stanfords, your Dukes, your Oxfords.
His lyrics to point back to what he said on
Sick of y'all.
Poetic Justice. We're going to stick to the period around the time that Poetic Justice was released. Now, I must say,
I did bring that up in my reaction to the Good Flirts music video that Kendrick did drop the right and wrongs line. I didn't want to say at the time that he was hinting back at Poetic Justice. I didn't want to be reaching. Oh, well, this comment looks a little familiar. All right, hold on. I'm going to let you talk because I've been yapping. Go ahead.
I don't care if you disagree with this theory. I don't care if you like how I'm presenting this argument. What you will not do is hop in my comments spewing disrespect. I'm giving these goofies a spotlight to show how not to act. Because there's no reason for anyone to be this disrespectful in the comments of a Poetic Justice Theory video. And making sexually charged insults to another man because you disagree with how he goes about his content on his page is peak goof troop. And to this ignorant motherfucker who thought it was cool to attack Anthony and Desiree by calling them racist, they are making a great case for Donkey of the Decade, right behind Drake and Donald Trump.
Ooh.
We even ended up in a Discord chat going back and forth because he said I was bootlicking for standing up for what's right.
Bootlicking.
Feel free.
That's what they're calling it now. They're calling it bootlicking. First it was grifting, then it was leeching off of the culture, that now it's bootlicking? Which one is it, y'all? Genuinely, which one is it? And I know this motherfucker. I know him. Yeah, this nigga is banned from my lives. All of them. Because he really got in his feelings because over a conversation, I think it was for AI and the use of AI. And bro really just like showed his natural ass. Made this poor girl cry in my fucking, in my chat. Spewing nothing but pure hatred from his dick. I was about to call him dick lips. Spewing nothing but hatred. I had my mods ban him. I said, get the fuck out, bro, because we're not about to do this. We're not about to sit here and bully somebody just because they're doing something that you don't agree with. We can agree to disagree in this world where we are free to disagree and agree with people, okay? I thought this was America. But to sit there and start attacking people's character because they're doing something that you don't agree with, and then y'all keep moving the goalposts, trying to fucking justify your argument. What? Trying to make yourself self-important? Trying to make it about them? Now it's gargling nut? Now it's deriding? You're clearly trying to ride their wave of wrong to viewers, and it's just as sad as what they're doing, if not worse. And I love how these niggas will try to position themselves as the morally superior ones just because they got a fucking pine sol breath of intelligence. They want to act like they're better than everybody else. I can't stand niggas like this. That's why he is out of my shit. Don't ever. You can stay the fuck out. And then Fame, I noticed Fame's had issues with this whole theory for a while now. I genuinely don't understand the level of hatred that he has towards this theory. But he's put out a few videos on his channel just absolutely tearing this shit to hell and back. And I listened to a little bit of it, and I was trying to see what his problem was with the poetic justice theory, and it didn't seem like he had a problem with the theory. He just seemed to have a problem with the people, and not for any particular reason, but it just really was seeing like he thought they were invading the hip-hop space. That was what he thought they were. That was his perception of them, was that they're vampires. They were a bunch of remix. Still waiting for them to show up in my comments. They know who they can do this to. It's lame as fuck. They got the right one with me. But yeah, like, man, just leave people the fuck alone. That's all I at the end of the day. Just leave niggas alone. Because they're not bothering you. They're just putting their fucking opinions out there. And the fact that you want to insert your little unwanted ass opinion and start throwing insults out there just because you don't agree with it, you're a fucking child. You're all children. All of y'all. You're all children.
But you should know, you won't get very far in life being a keyboard killer.
Damn.
Luckily, not everyone is irrational on the internet. And some people actually agree with what we're trying to present with this theory. And they should know this is who we do it for. Having the courage to present your thoughts online for people to critique is not an easy assignment. This couple should be celebrated for what they're doing. Consider what Kendrick thinks about this theory and how this couple is going about it before you use negativity to speak for him.
Thank you.
That being said, these are my thoughts and opinions. None of what I say in this presentation should be taken as fact.
We gotta put
Everything
the fucking
in this
disclaimer,
presentation is open.
because niggas like to have selective amnesia and forget that these are just opinions and thoughts and pieces of evidence that are being... Like, I already explained how theories work. It's a hypothesis, and it's bringing real-world evidence in to support it. So, y'all are just dumb. You're dumb.
To interpretation, and I welcome any dialogue on this topic in the comments. Please be respectful, and if you feel yourself getting riled up, go touch some grass.
Thank you, and he said that in the first and the second one.
This is an early version of the timeline that Anthony and Desiree produced for us when they initially promoted their theory. The timeline extends throughout Kendrick's entire career, even up to the release of Baby Keem's Casino in February 2026.
Damn.
For the purposes of this video, we're going to confine the conversation to what I consider the Good Kid, Mad City era. But before we dig in on the timeline just yet, let me show y'all something that I found very interesting related to this literary war of words.
We gotta stop. Like, we reaching. Like, some of these videos are still like, bro, we be reaching. And it's just like you said, like,
oh man, DeCypher too. I don't even know if he had an opinion on it.
Kendrick came in the game like with a sole mission to take Drake down. Like, he has no other life outside of being super coded and cryptic and taking Drake down. And this, like, come on, bro. Like, everything don't tie back to Drake, bro. He's not thinking about that man like that all the fucking time. Like, let's not do that, bro. Everything.
That's actual cap. That is cap. It's cap. That is the biggest piece of cap that I have ever heard in my fucking life. Really? He really said not everything ties back to Drake? That's cap. He dissed this nigga on his own track. Stop lying. Stop lying to God.
It's not a veiled Drake shot. Everything is not like some type of connection, connected dots and all that. Like, no, like...
That's a lie too, because he constantly makes callbacks and hints at lines from previous projects, thereby connecting the two. Who the fuck else would shout out very specific lyrics from past songs in newer songs unless they weren't connected? Nobody does that, because only weird fucking like low-key psychotic people have a textbook fucking photographic memory of their own catalog enough to where they reference it in later songs 10 years down the line. Are we being for real? Are we being real? Like, are we actually... Can we stop being ignorant here? Can we just stop? Kendrick just dropped the righting my wrongs line, calling back to poetic justice theory. Like, come on now. Can we just, like, pretend that we have a brain? Is that a Z-Quill hat?
Things can stand on their own. and it be okay.
Oh
bro.
yeah, nah,
It's
he's
okay.
cooked.
Like everything ain't gotta be a connection. Like we like I know we try to do our research and deep dive, but
What do you mean try to do our research? We're not pulling from imaginary sources. We're pulling from lyrics that came from these niggas' mouths. What are you talking about? We're pulling from real world factual evidence straight from Kendrick's mouth because he has already stated in multiple of his songs, I write my own shit and I'm really like that. He said, if you take it there, I'm taking it further. He warned him. He warned everybody. He said, I want all of the smoke. I don't want peace. I want problems always. He really meant that shit when he said, I want problems always. He really meant it. I'm done with y'all. He played a video.
Well, since you don't know, allow me to inform you. Get some water, take a deep breath, because we about to reach all the way back to the 1840s with this one. Some of you may recognize this man as one of the giants of American literature. To quote his most famous poem, once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary,
I'm gonna let you
over
finish,
many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. Now this infamous MC is none other than the great Edgar Allan Poe. He was a foundational figure in American literature and was known as the innovator of detective fiction and a master of Gothic horror.
That's real fucking funny that you included Edgar Allan Poe because I've been sitting on this video, for a while now, several weeks, and I took notes.
A few moments later.
That was the idea that I was working on for a video. I can't make this shit up, y'all. I can't make this shit up. We didn't even talk. We didn't share notes. We didn't say a motherfucking thing. There it is. Actually crazy, right? That's crazy, right? and the reference point that I used was probably my favorite story from Edgar Allan Poe, called The Cask of Amontillado. And I used quotes from the text, I used actual events that happened during the line, and I used the quotes from the rap beef. And I was really putting this shit together on the sidelines. And I even have a vocabulary down here. It was a whole thing. But now I have to do it. I can't hold this back because now you mention Edgar Allan Poe by name. You should definitely still do this. Yes, I am going to do that video because that's fucking wild. That's actually wild. And like I said before, y'all, I swear on the OGest of OGs, Jesus Christ. I swear on his holy peace that we did not talk about this. We never communicated throughout the entirety of him recording and doing the research for this video. We did not know that we were on the same wavelength, but somehow we were. That's crazy as fuck. But yeah, I'm gonna do that video. I have to. There's no other way. There's no other option. I have to do it. That was to sink into you the rest of the. Yep. And I watched
His work
a good portion of this actually.
And structured narrative.
But I wanted to leave the rest to react to live.
Impacted global literature, film, and art.
I didn't want to spoil too much.
I swear I had no idea what macabre was until I started researching this topic.
I love the word macabre. It's such a near and dear word to my heart. That's even the name of my horror channel. It's Nixus Macabre, because I just love gothic, horrifying, twisted, disturbing shit. It's the goth in me.
Remember this definition as we go forward with the rest of this discussion. Now, what you may not know about Poe is that he often created conflicts between himself and many of his contemporaries at that time. He accused one of his most famous rivals, Henry Longfellow, of plagiarism and imitation. He also said his writing lacked depth and artistic value because it was so simple-minded. Poe would also frequently refer to Longfellow as a didactic naif, which is officially my new favorite insult. Why, you ask? Because I don't know of any better way to call someone a dummy where you know it's probably a good chance they have to go look it up to see what it means.
Oh, because
Poe's main nemesis was Rufus Griswold. Another side note.
That's a motherfucking name. Rufus. Jesus Christ. This motherfucker was beefing with a nigga named Rufus. Nah, y'all know they came from some grimy streets. They came from the hood. This nigga's biggest rival was Rufus.
It's got to be hilarious beefing with a guy named Rufus. These two started going back and forth because Poe felt that Griswold was not sincere in his review of literary writers at the time. Poe believed he showed favoritism to his friends instead of rewarding writers on the basis of their art. Now, ironically, the beef between these guys escalated over a couple of dollars and their shared interest in the same woman. After Poe's death in 1849, Griswold began a smear campaign to ruin Poe's legacy by using an alias to write a scathing obituary, and later he wrote a biography that extremely exaggerated the already negatively painted perception he tried to put on Poe.
Damn.
We all know of Edgar Allan Poe, so it's safe to say we all know how that turned out. But I do recommend you take a trip down that rabbit hole whenever you get a chance. It was entertaining.
And at the end of the day, it was always over. Like,
yeah, why you taking everything personal? This that in your face, all offensive on purpose flow. My city never effing need me. Yeah, oh wait, no, they really need me. Oh wait, hold up, young effing Wheezy. Holla at me when you done effing Wheezy.
That's weird.
Yeah, okay, Drizzy. Yeah.
No, you're gonna make me watch this whole thing. I gotta watch it again. Do I have to? Do I have to sit here and watch this cringe? Oh, I don't want to. I don't want it. Oh, it's so bad. I feel myself seizing up because I'm like, out of cringe. Oh, God, it's just... Do I have to? Do I have to watch it? It's funny. Oh, it's so cringe, though.
I told you.
All right,
New York,
all right.
New York, you gotta understand, I've been on the road for like 2 months, just grinding it out, you know what I'm saying? I've been on the road really, like, doing these shows every night. So I'm coming in, ooh.
This is when he knew he Oh my God. Oh my God. Come on. It's so bad. This is torture. Oh no.
So you called me off.
Oh, this is so bad.
You called me all the way off now. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna get this. Hold on. Look, can we come back? Can we do it? Can we come back?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This type of cringe needs to be studied. This needs to be studied. Y'all really let him. That's your man's. That's him. That's him right there.
Hold on. I'm gonna get him.
And he still hasn't started rapping yet.
So crazy.
I promise I'm gonna get him. I can't give him everything, Flex. Like, no, you can't. I can't give him everything because, you know, like, you gotta understand this my first. You want me to do it again? You want me to...
No.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
No.
This is my first, like, real time on the radio. Like, this is my first real...
Your first real, like, blast off.
Like, with the big dogs.
Launch.
Like, with the...
Well, you know...
You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my God.
It doesn't get much realer than
I want to get the story, New York.
Please.
Now that we've gone down that rabbit hole, let's take a look back at what I believe.
You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing, Reed, when you did this. You think you're slick. You think you're slick. That was painful to watch.
First reference of money trees between Drake and Kendrick. While researching this Shakespearean shakedown, I discovered what could be seen as a major piece of...
Oh, that's interesting that he said I'm 23 with a money tree. Because didn't he reference that later in Family Matters? When he said, don't even go back to your hood and plant no money trees. Was that right after the slaves line? Out here acting like you trying to get the slaves free. Don't even go back to your hood and plant no money trees. I think that was after the slaves bar. Seeds of money trees. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, so he clearly doesn't want to let it go.
Evidence suggesting
He's been sneak
that
dissing the whole
Kendrick was
time.
a ghostwriter for Drake. On the song Poor Man's Dream, Kendrick directly responds to Drake's bar with what is clearly a much more elevated
I did a
perspective
whole video
of
on
himself.
that. I think you told
One
me.
could say he's planting the seeds for him to eventually become.
Is this where you
Mr.
pull from
Morale.
my video?
After discovering this gem in the lyrics, I decided to go back and look through each of these songs individually to see if I could find any more clues that could be used as evidence in our poetic justice case. To open the verse on the resistance, he talks about living inside a moment in Vegas.
Okay.
He declares he has a great memory, his enemies aren't on his level, and he remains loyal to the ones closest to him. At that moment, when you look deeper into the lyrics, you start to notice a few contradictions. Because I was there and I know how he quote unquote blew up in real time, I decided to dig a little deeper into what it meant for him to call himself a martyr. When I look at that second definition, I believe that couldn't be a more accurate description when it comes to the character known as Drake.
Oh, so
I
it's
found this bar
the
about
literal
the game
sense and then the sarcastic sense. One is literal and one is just a label, an indicator. The confusing thing about the English language is that one word can mean at least 3 different things. It's all about context.
When I look at that second definition, I believe that couldn't be a more accurate description when it comes to the character known as Drake.
Yeah.
I found this bar about the game and his heart to be extremely suspicious when you consider that Kendrick's The Heart Part 1 was released a few months before Thank Me Later. Who really put their heart into the game at this time? In the next verse, Drake tells a story about ignoring his grandmother while he engages in escapades with women who seemingly don't matter. These bars somehow seem to play out in the Poetic Justice music video. While Drake may assume this was a flex, the way Kendrick played on this is diabolical, if you ask me. As we go to the third verse, we see Drake confess his contradictions as he doesn't remember when he started changing or when he started treating his friends different. He describes a situation when he was robbed at a Chinese restaurant in his hometown. He believes it may have been set up by a woman he thought he trusted. Now, honestly, you have
Why would you go and blame the woman for getting robbed? It's like he starts going into some level of introspection, only to completely turn around, deny it, and be like, "Nah, it was the dames. It was that woman, that female that did it. It was the vagina that did it. It's not me. I'm not the problem. It was her. She did it." That's a crazy switch up.
This sounds like a very similar situation to what Kendrick experienced messing with Sherane on Good Kid, Mad City. As we close out the third verse, I don't know why he thought it would be a good idea to say this part about guessing and getting it right. But in my opinion, this clearly plays into the main parts of the diss at the end of his verse on Poetic Justice. Now, if we go back and take a look at Po Man's Dreams, remember this is on Section 80, which came out in July 2011.
Okay.
Kendrick even mentioned how Drake was the first person to hear the complete project when he sent him a copy after they met in Toronto.
Okay, shit.
On this song, not only is he directly addressing what Drake said he values at 23, he seems to be giving out some sound advice on how to move through life. In hindsight, it looks like he's warning him.
Now that like to mistake a straight nigga for a real nigga. Okay, yeah. Stand for something or fall for anything, and you working with 2 left feet at the skating rink. You know, that's crazy, because while I didn't really think about it, that was weird of like, who the fuck was he talking to? Because like the stand for something and fall for anything going right into the skating line. I remember doing this on my video. And I was like, I wonder who he's talking about. And at the time, I didn't assume that he was talking about Drake. I feel like he was addressing people like Drake, or people that, wanted to get into the industry on some, the people that wanted to get into this particular part of industry, like rapping and everything. And he was giving this person who has big dreams, giving them advice, while also reflecting on his own life and how he came up and how his morals changed over time. I'm seeing the connection here.
Letting him know that at this point, he looks like he'll fall for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end of the first verse, we see how important the music Kendrick writes is to him. He believes he and his pen have the power to save his people. The intention behind getting it right directly opposes how Drake goes about it, and it reinforces the pre-hook on Kendrick's first verse from Poetic Justice. We don't really go into the chorus of the song, but it basically describes the dream of putting yourself in a position to help your loved ones kick back and enjoy life to the fullest.
He said, I'm gonna blow up. I'm gonna get big in the music industry. So I want my music. Hopefully my music will get you off of death row. He's saying, I want my music to change your perspective.
So
I want my music to let you know that death row is not your destiny. You can be more. You can be better than a statistic. He wants to inspire people. It's this element of hope that he's always held on to. You know, this is just like the aspirations of a young Kendrick Lamar, the hopes and dreams. That's why it says Poe Man's dreams. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's literally his dreams.
And
it's
like,
his hopes and
I don't play this shit up, y'all. I genuinely don't. Like, if it hits me in the middle of the recording, I'm gonna leave it in and I'm gonna edit it and such. Like, when I say it actually hit me as I was speaking, as in real time, like, that's real. That's not scripted. Nothing I do is scripted, first and foremost. Let's get that out of the way. None of my videos are scripted.
Dreams. He's a Poe man. It's a Poe man's dream. And it's just, oh my god. You can even interpret it like as a Poe man, like it's kind of simple the way it's being used. Like, it's describing somebody who's just, you know, a simple guy. I'm just a dude. But I have big dreams and I have big aspirations and I have hope in spite of my surroundings. I have hope that my people will aspire to be better than a statistic, that my people will end up in higher places than on death row or in a jail cell for the rest of their life or in a coffin. I want better. I hope for better. I hope that my music, I'm gonna blow up and my music will inspire you to change your life for the better.
Now that I say that,
now at the very beginning of verse 2,
you can 1000% apply that to Drake.
He makes a subtle reference to one of Drake's later singles, Started from the Bottom.
Oh my
this is
God.
Right before he procedes to say his killings are not remorseful.
Why'd you use that screenshot though? That screenshot is diabolical. Why do you look like that? Why does he look like he's getting back shots? He looks so goofy. I remember when Started from the Bottom came out, man. I think I was still in elementary school. Or middle school at the very least. Like, oh my God.
As we close out the song, he tells us that his simplest bars are more pivotal. Keep that in mind. Notice the amount of times and the ways he repeats common themes in his music. He foreshadows how he uses his art to speak to the hearts of those who need it most. And he invites you to take a walk in his shoes so you can get to know him. To sum it up, his dream is that by being vulnerable and sharing his story with you,
It's half
you
the
will
fun
get
of
to
editing. How can I make
connect
him
with
look
his
as
music, and
compromised
through
as
that,
possible?
you will ultimately gain your support as an artist and be able to provide a better life for his loved ones.
That part.
Now that we've gone through that somewhat brief detour, let's return to the timeline and now go to what is universally considered to be one of the first diss tracks aimed at Drake by Kendrick Lamar.
But I'll say this, man. I do appreciate the fact that there is this kind of constant push and pull between fandom and like DJs and critics in hip hop, right? Like I like it. I love seeing it. Where there's people who like consume hip hop and
back
have
when
critiqued
Ebro
it
was still
and
on
played it professionally. That is their life. And then fans who are like, no, this is my favorite. And
Damn,
I
this is
disagree
ancient
with this
history
critique.
now.
Like, I think
Holy
that's
shit.
a healthy kind of a dialogue that's constantly taking place.
The only thing that's made it unhealthy is the downside of the Drake and Kendrick thing is there is such a toxicity now when you talk about anything related to Drake and Kendrick.
So that goes back
That
to
sucks.
Well, so that goes to me going back to me talking about Drake being a cancer.
I don't know, man. Fuck everybody, man. Shit.
Oh my God, he really...
When I said Drake is a sickness, right? When everybody's like, he called Drake a sickness.
He is a sickness.
It's a tough line. But your fans are a problem. Your brand is a problem in this game, bro. Like, the fact that we can't just have dialogue without sycophants going nutso about you is problematic.
I'm trying to kind of escape from the whole Drakeness of a lot of this shit.
Damn, and then
Because
you
it starts
put
to turn into
DeCypher
like
back
some
on
weird
blast.
ass
Damn, you were not done with
that
these
Kendrick
niggas.
would have to have for a lot of this shit to make sense. And I just ain't fucking with that. Because I don't I mean how I'm looking at Dot, if like his whole career, he's been having this very, very dark in the corner of a room with like flickering lights and like leaky ceilings, just writing raps, like hoping one day that somebody will realize he's talking about Drake. That shit is weird to me. Get it. I get it. It's interesting. It's great fan fiction. It's great lore.
That's not what we're saying at all.
But like once we
we're not saying that Kendrick is obsessed with Drake and he's just made it his life goal to destroy him. We're saying that Kendrick saw what the industry was trying to do with Drake, and he did not like that. So, much like his successor Tupac, he wanted to unite the West Coast and give hip hop the respect that it deserved. Because right now it was being blatantly disrespected and they were trying to transform it into pop. They were trying to fucking mutate hip hop into pop. They were putting more white people in it. They were putting in more mixed people like Drake and then giving them more status. We had the likes of Iggy Azalea and Robin Thicke and Miley Cyrus in the hip hop scene at one point, just fucking it up for everybody, just destroying it, smearing the name of hip hop. And we knew what it was. It was uncalled for. We did not want it. We didn't want any part of it. And at the forefront was fucking Drake. At the forefront. Because if you notice, during that entire rap beef, all of the references and all of the people that he made reference to, besides the people in his own camp, were white people. With the exception of like 2 or 3 musicians that Kendrick was already working with, that he collaborated with, they mostly white people that he was basing his bars off of. That's why Kendrick went back, spun the block, and buried himself so deep into the culture that it literally became about white culture versus black culture. It took the last song for Drake to use an actual soul sample in his diss tracks. And he was only doing it because he saw that Kendrick was doing it, and that seemed to be getting more fans. That seemed to be popular because it was tapping into the heart of black culture, which was soul, rhythm, and blues. And Drake tried to do the same thing on The Sharp Part 6 and failed. But like, we're not saying that Kendrick's just huddled in a corner in a fucking dingy ass room writing raps about Drake. He was definitely sitting in a corner writing some particularly lethal bars when he did Control. I keep telling y'all, Drake really heard Kendrick laugh like a psychopath on Control and was like, I'll win this fight. I'll wash him. He's a very sane individual. I can win. I got him. I'll sun him. That was Drake's thought process when he heard K. Dot literally laughing to himself in the corner like an entire psychopath on a mic, because that laugh is genuinely terrifying. It is, because it's the quiet ones you gotta look out for, because they're low-key psychopaths. Kendrick is not sane. No, he's not. He's a certified crash out. He is not afraid to crash out. He deliberately held himself back until he did 616 in LA. That's when all hell broke loose. Y'all think 616 in LA was just a throwaway song? No. That's not what that was. That's not what that was at all. That was Kendrick tapping into that darkness, y'all. That was Kendrick ascending. That was Kendrick hitting Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. That was him having everybody thinking that he was like Yamcha, that he was on some fucking Krillin type energy, only to pull the mask off and reveal that it was Goku Black the entire time. Now niggas are scared. Now niggas are terrified. Now niggas are clutching their pearls like, oh my god, stop! Stop! You're murdering him! Of course he is! That was his intention the whole time! He just had to lull y'all into a false sense of security. The room got dark, and it was nothing but red eyes, and the sounds of flesh being torn from bone, and horrific screams. And all the people that were like, take the gloves off! Were just sitting in the corner, crying. Like, why did I do this? Why did I say that shit? I regret everything. I'm sorry, God. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. Nah, y'all wanted this. Y'all asked for it. Y'all asked to take the gloves off. You wanted to see blood. And that's exactly what y'all got. And the fact that they're trying to minimize this level of bloodlust down to some fucking over-exaggerated fantasy type caricature of what they think we're describing Kendrick as is laughable.
To get to like the real aspect of it, it's like, okay, we went all the way down this road. How do you look at Kendrick once we get here?
Yeah, because I wouldn't look at him the same.
I see a nigga with long nails, sharp teeth, like a hunched back, and a wet notepad just in the corner, just writing. You feel what I'm saying?
You have a very active imagination. See, you say that as a joke, but this nigga really did. He did that. He did that and does. He did exactly that. In that interview at the very beginning of the video, that's exactly what he did. Are you fucking kidding me? Mumbling his raps to himself, getting his cadence right. That even sounded like a Kendrick flow. Like that.
I gotta get him. It's like, no, like that's not it. I just think after a certain while, Drake represents a lot of shit Kendrick don't fuck with.
Okay, I thought you were gonna go back to
personally. We also don't know all of what he's had to go through to get to this point in his career. The way Kendrick raps, you can tell there's a hunger that exists inside of him to be the best. And most artists don't have that. So go ahead and think what...
I love how he gave that description of Kendrick being hunched over in a dark, dingy corner with a wet notepad, only to then cut to Kendrick crouching in a dirty, dingy corner with a blood-hungry look in his eyes. Oh my god, just... Mwah.
He even told you to call him crazy, remember? For all we know, him playing this prank on Drake could be one of the least damaging things he's ever had to do to survive where he comes from.
I've read that you start each day by staring at yourself in the mirror for 10 minutes.
Yes.
How did this start and what do you get out of it?
To all the people that just are refusing to understand and just don't want to fucking get it, that don't want to act like this man is normal like the rest of y'all. Tell me what normal person stares at themselves in the mirror for 10 minutes each day.
You one crazy ass bitch!
What sane person does that? Y'all? Deciphered? I'll wait. Since y'all want to paint this nigga as like, since you want to blow off all these people that are like, Kendrick is really that nigga, and you're just like trying to downplay it by hyperbolizing it to a cartoonish degree, not realizing that you're not even hyperbolizing at this point. You're just being accurate. In your attempt to diminish people's perception of Kendrick as an artist, you've only further proven our points. Are we actually this dense? Like actually? All right, whatever. I'm done with y'all. Y'all making me mad.
When I was 9 years old, I was looking in the mirror, talking to myself in the mirror.
He has such a cute smile.
A split second, I seen something a little bit different than just what the eye can see, you know, in the physical form. I seen something a little bit more. I actually seen my soul, you know, in the mirror.
Nah. This nigga was staring at himself for so long, he hit the avatar state. Are you shitting me? This motherfucker.
And it's a scary sight, you know, as a kid, and you realize that it can take your mind somewhere totally different.
This nigga looked into the fifth dimension.
In my case, it was for better. And what it does for me, it lets me know who I am, you know, and who I always will be, and where I come from, and what I'm trying to do, you know, with myself and the people around me, you know, as far as inspiring people, inspiring others, and, you know, continue.
That's a very important thing,
positive.
Especially when you're achieving that level of fame, is not forgetting who you are.
It's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing, but it works. It works. It lets you know who you are for real.
It's because mirrors won't lie to you. Mirrors will not lie. They are only reflecting what the eyes are seeing. Even the reflectors in our own eyes. It's just a bunch of reflective mirrors bouncing off of each other. But the image doesn't change. Our perception of the image will change after a while because the brain can actually fool itself. The brain is a very tricky, complex machine, and it can fool itself.
Now, looking at the start of the timeline.
Oh my god, I love how you included the, I think this was the beginning of Poetic Justice, where Janet Jackson's looking in the mirror at herself, along with the quote, direct quote, looking in the mirror, I'm embarrassed, from Drake's Buried Alive. And
Buried Alive is the first song Kendrick and Drake openly collaborated on, even though Drake isn't on the track. I'm going to use one of my favorite YouTube channels, Underground AT, to help me explain what we see from the song as it relates to Kendrick and Drake's relationship. In the intro to the song, Kendrick is describing how he would act if he was stuck in a pine box, which most people consider to be a popular description of a coffin. He declares that if you was in a pine box, he would essentially jump in and try to save you. And if he couldn't succeed, he'd lay right next to you and die with you. Nobody has mentioned this, but this voice change could indicate that he's taking on a different perspective.
That's romantic as fuck in a very dark way. That's sweet. That's really sweet. In like a dark, twisted, gothic way. It's like if you were in a pine box, I would break the lock, jump in, and fall asleep.
Like he mentioned in the Rap Genius intro at the beginning of this
video, that's romantic as fuck.
The voice change could be an indication that he is speaking from the perspective of his subconscious. He's saying that the deep-rooted habits and beliefs he has will literally try to save him from this situation, this box he's placed himself in. And if he dies because he refuses to break out of this box, the subconscious entity will die right along with him.
Yep.
How come nobody has talked about how much of a sneak diss this song was? Like, I feel like this shit is so overlooked. It's the most obvious sneak diss. The man is saying, looking in him. There's a whole perspective piece that I found where he talks about the song himself. This is a song about the night that they met. Yeah, all the people that were typing already, but check this out. This is from the man himself. If you're not looking at the screen, I'll read this to you. I did a show in Toronto on June 16th. My first show in Toronto. I think it was the same night. We was going to the hotel and he had my phone. I guess he had got the word I was in town. He was there for the night working for the album. He just said he wanted to meet up. We met up, chilled out, got the vibe and see where each other was at and shit. Sometimes you like a person's music, but you definitely don't like the artist when you sit down and you talk to them. It's a real good dude. He got a real genuine soul. We clicked immediately. We've spoken probably one time before that. I don't know if that same shit stuck out to y'all like it stuck out to me. Sometimes you like a person's music, but you definitely don't like the actual artist when you sit down and you talk to them. And
that's such a fucking 180. Talk about a switch up. He says that and then says, he's a good dude though. He doesn't say it's a real good dude though. However, there is no however. So there is no, because typically when you say something like that and you say, however, that's a good dude. He's got a genuine soul. That means everything you said before does not apply to the person that you're talking about. There was none of that anywhere. He just says sometimes you like a person's music, but you definitely don't like the actual artist when you sit down and talk to him. That's a good dude. Got a genuine soul. He's saying, universally, he's a good dude. But me, I don't like him. That's my opinion. Don't like him. He really just said, I don't like him. Don't meet your heroes, man. I like his music. Thought he was cool. Listened to him and I don't like him. Wild as fuck.
And fucking Buried Alive comes from this meeting. This is truly the genesis of the beef. How do you get dissed on your album?
God damn.
The whole song is concept of being buried alive. I want to read you guys something else from the interview. He was asked if he had heard anything from the album prior and if there was any restrictions on what he was writing. I didn't hear no music for that album. Me being a fan of his music, following his career, listening to the prior songs he dropped, I felt like he was in a space now where vanity is everywhere and he has his hands on every bit of it and he's trying to escape that. But at the same time, not being in denial of it. I wanted to speak from a standpoint of me being a new artist and almost being in his shoes that he was a couple of years ago or last year and expressing them feelings.
Okay, let's break this down on a micro level. The verse opens with a scene where Kendrick is looking at himself in the mirror, describing that he's feeling like an ST. I hope y'all see what I'm talking about because I don't want to say it and get in trouble.
Yeah, because YouTube.
An ST is someone who has no problem hurting himself in order to cause damage to someone else. While other lives are usually lost during an attack by an ST, the main goal is to dismantle an organization of people. Then he describes meeting an outsider related to the music business.
It's funny that you said an organization of people.
I.e. Drake, a deal that would give him access to luxury cars and fine women. These were examples of his vices. My favorite bar from this part of the verse is when he says,
"Mind over matter never worked for my nemesis," right? Keep that bar in mind. During that same interview that I read to you from, They asked Kendrick another question. To kick off the verse, you talk about being a terrorist. Why?
Why?
It's me being in denial. When I say buried alive, that means I'm for everything that's happening. The women, the money. It's a metaphor for me basically saying drowning yourself in that and not being able to come back. Looking in the mirror, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed of what's going on. I'm in denial of it. And saying I'm a terrorist, I might myself over it. Framed in that perspective from those words, this doesn't sound like too much of a compliment to me.
From the very beginning, Drake's music,
and that shows the dichotomy that he faces as an artist, especially being, you know, what they call old school Gemini. Kendrick even called himself, but like Gemini, duality. It's one personality and the other personality. But while sometimes they can be in harmony, sometimes they can also be at war with each other. And there are plenty of times where Kendrick has stated out loud in pieces of his music that those two sides of his personality were at war with each other. That perfectly showcased that right there. Is that he wants to be there, but he doesn't know who he is. His personality is being split in two different directions. The aspects of his personality are no longer in harmony. They are in dissonance. They are at war with each other. And he's trying to figure out a way to bring them back together so he doesn't have an identity crisis like a certain Canadian that he knows. He doesn't want to end up in the same position that Drake is in, because Drake, that's an identity crisis. He no longer knows who the real Aubrey is. Where Kendrick, he is watching his personality split in real time and in slow motion, and he's like, oh my God, what is happening? I can't do this. I need to stop this. But I've come too far to give up now. I gotta keep going. I gotta find a way to control it. I understand this. I resonate with that. That's the only thing that really separates Geminis from Libras. Geminis, each aspect of themselves, like the twins, that light and that dark side are their own specific entities. Those are technically their own separate entities because they're twins. They work in tandem, but they're two different entities. Whereas with Libra, the two halves cannot physically exist without the other. It's not that they choose to work in harmony, it's that they have no choice but to work in harmony. Otherwise, the machine is compromised, or the scales are compromised, if you catch my drift. But we're gonna go ahead and listen to this sister, because I think she's about to start laying some knowledge.
Operated in what psychologists call ambivalent sexism, a framework.
Oh, we're going into psychology? Hold on. Count me in. Let me turn this volume up.
At the same time, without the person holding them experiencing those attitudes as contradictory. So this isn't a story about Drake starting out as a good soft boy and suddenly turning into a big baby incel. No, this is a story about coexistence, affection and resentment, intimacy and entitlement, vulnerability and control, all at once.
And that's why it takes a certain special type of crazy to dive into psychology, because you start realizing that not everything is as black and white as you thought they were. Everything is on a spectrum. I'll use the most famous example, Schrodinger's cat. It's essentially, a cat is ill. You put the cat in a box, you lock it, and you don't touch it, and you leave it alone for a certain amount of time. Schrodinger's cat is the probability that the cat is both alive and dead at the same time until you actually open the box and see for yourself. It's the concept that two things can be true at the same time until the physical result is actually seen. It's essentially the scientific process. You make a hypothesis where something will happen, something won't happen. Both of those things are true until you determine which one is the absolute truth by seeing it with your own eyes. That's essentially what Schrodinger's cat is. But in the realm of psychology, the Schrodinger's cat is not that two things can be true until there's an absolute truth that's proven. It's that those two truths are the absolute truth. And there's no in between. It's both of these things, all of these things can be true at the same time. And that is horrifying because it starts fucking with your perception of reality, and it starts fucking with the concrete uniform structure that all of our laws and all of our systems, all of like time, solar cycles, all of that shit, it's based on linear concrete shit. But when things start going into the abstract, that's where shit gets messy. We're not playing on a stable foundation anymore. Now we're floating upside down and we don't know what's going on. Everything is backwards. Yesterday is tomorrow and we're scared. That's what happens when you go into psychology.
At the same damn time, even. Early on, the benevolent side did most of the talking. The emotional openness, the heartbreak, the confessions, the I'm just being honest about my feelings posture.
Okay.
That's why Drake was framed as the rapper for women, the sensitive one, the one who made space for feelings in a hyper-masculine genre. But the hostility was never absent. It was softened, it was aestheticized, it was carried inside of the vulnerability instead of replacing it. And I believe that distinction matters. We need a framework that explains how care and resentment can coexist.
Not care and resentment.
And she was
Shout out
spitting
to
some
Mother
game.
Rose for that video, because she was spitting some hot fire on that joint. I have another clip from her in a minute, but continuing on with the second part of the verse, we see Kendrick confess that his vice is similar to Drake's. It's not exactly the same, but similar. That's a clear distinction. He talks about being in Vegas, which is reminiscent of Drake in The Resistance. Then he talks about blowing off reading a verse to go get some head. Not writing, but reading a verse. That's intentional. He calls a woman a bad bitch and then tells her that her ass is too fat. This reminds me of the fight scene from Poetic Justice where Lucky made a similar comment about justice.
Instead of a verse being read, I'm gonna go get some hit. Oh, because he's talking about, okay, yep, because he's talking about Bible verses. Okay. Oh, okay. I see it. Because I was putting it together and I was thinking about it. Instead of a verse being read, I'm going to get some hit. Okay, yes. That's where the Halle Berry Hallelujah line really comes into play here. It's Halle Berry Hallelujah. Pick your poison. That's, oh my God. He's like, I am drifting away from God. I am drifting away from the light in order, and I am submitting to sinful desires in the city of sin. I am being tempted and I am failing. That is, and he doesn't want to end up like, he doesn't want to drown in it. He doesn't want to, but he feels himself drowning further and further into this darkness that serious dichotomy. That's what I was talking about.
He says you can
about him watching himself being split apart little by little and watching it happen in slow motion. It's like drowning. It's like being buried alive. He is suffocating right now and he doesn't know how to get out. Oh my fucking God. This nigga was punching.
Blame all of this bad behavior.
And the whole purpose of this verse is that he doesn't want to end up like Drake. That's the whole point of the song, is that he doesn't want to end up like Drake. Why would that not be a diss track? Why would that not be a diss? Not even a diss track. Why would that not be a diss at the person that you mentioned, whether directly or indirectly? The whole song is like, I don't want to end up like you. But I'm going to say it in a way so intelligent that not even your dumbass will be able to pick it up.
This is the part in the song where he talks about sitting down with Drake and 40 for a meeting.
He didn't sell him false words, which I thought was interesting. But he talks about the whole meeting and how he describes the whole scene of the ambience of getting out of the car and the car pulling up and him, all he was missing was Aaliyah and the shit feeling like he was in the Matrix. And he was like, what the fuck, this is the industry? And how they sat down in the whole meeting. But key back to that interview.
Yeah.
Again, he said this. Sometimes you like a person's music, but you definitely don't like the actual artist when you sit down and talk to them.
Yes, that part.
That's a real good dude. He got a real genuine soul. He can still be a good dude and you can still click with him, but you still don't have to like him.
And he's calling Drake a victim of circumstance. He's acknowledging the humanity within Drake. He's acknowledging the boy that was denied that alternate path. because of specific circumstances in his life that were out of his control. But he's also holding him accountable for his actions that are only leading him to spiral further and further down that dark path. He's like, you have the choice now to go against all of those, like the earthly, carnal, sinful desires, and pursue a path of integrity. But you're too deep in it now. You've been effectively corrupted, and now there is no turning back for you. But he's like, but it starts with you. Once you see it and once you understand it. Y'all, that's why in Meet the Grahams, he said, I tried to empathize with you because I know you ain't never been through nothing. Buried Alive was him empathizing with Drake. And he said, I tried to empathize with you. Crave entitlement, but want to be liked so bad that it's puzzling. Oh my God. Even in his diss battle, he was calling back to his old songs, bro. How can y'all really sit here and think that this shit is not connected? Like, genuinely, he is still making callbacks to his early work now. In the year of our Lord 2026 on Beyonce's internet, Kendrick is still making callbacks to Poetic Justice. This is the nigga y'all wanted to rap battle. Okay. This is the nigga you thought you was gonna wash, Drake. Alright, okay. And y'all could be like, oh, stop putting him on a pedestal. I'm not. I'm terrified of this nigga. What do you mean? I'm not putting him on a pedestal. This nigga is him. It's just Big Him. He is 100% Himalayan. This is just the odd life of Himothy Green. And Kendrick is the main star.
Or just like me being mad at an album that I don't like. This framework comes from social psychology, specifically the work of Peter Glick and Susan Fisk. And it's called ambivalent sexism. The first question that
ambivalent sexism
in their study, the ambivalent sexism inventory, is a deceptively simple one. Is sexism a form of prejudice? At first glance, that might sound obvious. Of course it is. But here's the complication that they point out. Most classic definitions of prejudice define it as antipathy, a negative feeling towards a group based on rigid stereotypes.
Okay.
Hate, distance, and disdain. That works cleanly when we're talking about race, ethnicity, and nationality, but gender doesn't quite work in the same way.
Yeah.
Because men and women are not distant groups. We're not socially separated. They're intimately connected romantically, sexually, domestically, and emotionally, historically, and presently. And culturally, women haven't only been depicted as inferior or disgusting. They've also been revered, idealized, protected, romanticized, and worshipped. So sexism doesn't just show up as pure hatred.
Yeah.
It shows up as ambivalence. Glick and Fisk argue that sexism has always operated along two tracks at the same time. There's hostile sexism, resentment, punishment, degradation, and anger towards women who don't comply. And then on the other hand, we have benevolent sexism, care, protection, affection, intimacy, and emotional disclosure that feels positive to the person expressing them.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the key part. Benevolent sexism is still sexism, even though it sounds like love, even though it sounds like concern, even though it sounds like I just want what's best for you. Because underneath that softness is the same structure, traditional roles, male dominance, and control over women's behavior.
Bingo. That's where it is. That's the smoking gun in all of this. That describes the entirety of Drake's verse on Poetic Justice to a T. To a fucking T. From the first line, he's already like, girl, how come you're not returning my messages? You got me impatient. But he frames it as like, oh, I'm so attracted to you. You're really, you got me under a spell. He's like he's making it seem like he's giving her credit, but underneath that, you could tell that his intentions are entirely self-serving. And then the mask slips halfway through the line where he starts gaslighting her. He's like, I was trying to put you on some game, put you on a plane, take you and your mother to the motherland. You over there fucking with your other man. It just being catty for no reason. And then just starts putting the blame on her. It's textbook psychological manipulation to make this girl feel bad for not giving him the time of day, even though he doesn't want her for anything other than her body. But he's trying to gaslight this woman into thinking he wants something deeper so that she'll give him that surface level thing that he wants. He's pretending to connect with her on an emotional level because he wants her body. He wants her purity. But he doesn't want her. He only wants her assets. He wants to drain her of whatever makes her unique and special and then toss her aside. It is very vampiric behavior. It is just, he doesn't see her as a person. He sees her as nourishment, temporary or long term. And that's not okay.
A man telling a female coworker she looks cute. He might mean it kindly. He might feel affectionate, but it still undermines her authority and professionalism. Now let's translate into hip hop terms. And again, this is where that RZA quote that I mentioned earlier becomes really useful. Remember RZA talking about how violent lyrics over harsh beats hit differently than violent lyrics over smooth melodic production. When the sound is rough, you register the harm. When it's smooth, it slips inside you in a different way.
Pause.
And kind of can fly under the radar as harm. The same thing applies here. Hostile sexism is loud. You hear it and you see it. Benevolent sexism is a bit smoother, and you feel it and register it a bit differently in the body.
And that's what separates your loud fucking the manosphere guys, your bros, the ones who outwardly hate women, and your nice guys. Nice guys, or quote unquote nice guys, for those who grew up, y'all know, y'all encountered a nice guy. That is the dictionary definition of ambivalent or benevolent sexism, where they try and appeal to your emotional side, your endearing side. They try to shower you with compliments and, shower you with praise. They try to come off as non-threatening as possible, not because they actually want to connect with you, but because they want something from you that they are not willing to reciprocate. They want, it's very predatory. They make themselves seem as harmless as possible to lure you into a false sense of security so that they can get what they want. And when they don't get what they want, that's when the darkness that was previously being kept, hidden underneath starts to rise to the surface, and that resentment and that hatred starts to come out because now they've been scorned, or now they feel like they've been scorned because their predatory behavior was called out. And instead of blaming themselves for it, they project that, they blame the woman. They think it's her fault. Then you start seeing things like, you're ungrateful, or you should be grateful I'm even talking to you, or you're probably talking to other guys and giving it up to them. Or they start throwing name calling into the mix. They start degrading you as a woman. They start degrading your life choices. They start degrading your intelligence. They you would be nothing without me. I could support you. And then it becomes hostile. Then you're afraid because now that harm is registering because the mask has slipped. And they all act exactly the same. It's pattern recognition. It's like clockwork. They do it every single fucking time without fail.
And because it's delivered through intimacy, confession, vulnerability, and romance, it often doesn't register as harm at all. That's why ambivalent sexism is so powerful. People holding these beliefs don't experience them as contradictory. They don't feel confused. They feel consistent. They can sincerely believe I love women and I protect women, and I hate certain women, and some women deserve what happens to them, all at the same time. Glick and Fisk explain that this often works through subtypes. Women who comply with traditional roles, the good ones, receive benevolence. Women who challenge those roles, feminists, sexually autonomous women, and women who don't submit, receive hostility. This is how someone can say without irony, I don't hate women, I just hate those women.
Oh.
And this is the psychological structure.
Yeah, no, that came from the soul. That was a whoo child. Damn, yeah.
I believe Take Care sits inside. Because the album doesn't sound hateful. It sounds caring. It sounds hurt. It sounds intimate. But the control, the entitlement, and the moral sorting, who deserves grace and who deserves punishment, is already built in. And once you hear it, it's very difficult to unhear it.
Yeah, it is.
Now, I'm not exactly sure why Rihanna and Aaliyah were mentioned in this song, but it could have something to do with them being so young and easy to take advantage of when they joined the industry. With this new lens of how Drake's Take Care promotes ambivalent sexism, how do we now interpret the phrase, how women be the tastemakers for the shit we making?
And I clocked this immediately just because I have been around my fair share of men who think they know what women want. They try to approach like they're different from all the other men and how they're a nice guy. They're not just looking for sex like everybody else when they're just lying to your face the whole time because all they want is somebody to validate them. Somebody to coddle their fragile fucking bruised ass ego and worship them. They don't want to be loved. They want to be worshipped. And that is terrifying because typically a man should not have to tell you that they are a good person if they are in fact a good person. And typically the ones who come out and say that they are a good person vocally are the ones that you should not trust. Because at the end of the day, the only person they're trying to convince is themselves. And didn't Drake do this exact same shit when he said, my karma is good? I'm not a bad person, y'all. My karma is good. I don't do shit to fuck people over. I'm a good person. Just throwing the little nugget out there. Just throwing it out there.
It doesn't sound very complimentary, and if we're being honest, it sounds more like he's being manipulative to gain some sense of passive control. As the verse comes to a close, we begin to see a building resentment between Kendrick and Drake.
I don't think I've ever had that kind of reaction to somebody unless I hated them. I found out you was the same age as me and I don't like you and you act like a fucking child. I'm gonna be like, this motherfucker's the same age as me and he's acting like that? He demolished this man on his own album and he didn't even know it. This was a ticking time bomb. Watch all these motherfuckers go back and start looking.
This is the climax of the song where he says he became more rude and impatient after finding out he and Drake are the same age. You can literally blame Drake for all of his bad behavior, for all the vanity, for leaving his best friends, and for dying to himself to please the people.
Damn.
I'm the piece of shit.
This nigga really just said it. He just said it. He just said it out loud. He just said it. He said, blame it on Drake. This is all his fault. He turned me into the person that I am today. Him. It's his fault. Back then, even when he was talking about how he didn't like Drake and then he immediately says he's a good dude, he's got a genuine soul. He's basically like, I admire and also hate Drake at the same time. The admiration and the hatred are at war with each other because I shouldn't admire you, but I hate you because you're a horrible person and you turned me into this vain fucking hypersexual ass motherfucker, like rude and impatient ass bitch. You helped breed this disgusting disease within me known as vanity, pride. You're the one who led me away from my spiritual values. And when and it's like when Kendrick saw that he was slipping, he was like, oh no, I can't do this. I gotta shift gears. I gotta go back. I can't fall into this. I equate this to like an angel that's on earth dwelling among the people. He, hooks up with somebody, meets somebody who, shows him the ropes. And over time, he starts getting this angel into earthly desires, carnal desires, all of that. And he starts slipping further and further into this lifestyle. If you're surrounded by mud, pretty soon you're gonna get dirty. It's inevitable. And so this angel starts participating in this activity. And little by little, he starts to notice that his wings are shedding off. He is falling from grace, gradually, slow and tortuously. And so I feel like that was the wake up moment, the snap to reality. The rose-tinted goggles have been removed, and the reality is you are slipping further and further from grace. You can't do that. Your soul is valuable to you. You need to preserve your integrity and your purity as a person. And so I think when Kendrick realized that, he was like, oh hell no. No, we're not doing that. And he just pumped the brakes, turned around, went back, had an intervention with himself, and those two conflicting sides, he had to dive into both of them. He had to squash both of the beefs so that they could start working together again, because it was literally driving him insane, destroying his own self-image. He said he looks in the mirror and he's embarrassed now, where previously he could look at himself in the mirror for 10 minutes every day. He was losing his connection with himself. That's why at the end of Buried Alive interlude, it says, "Bury yourself alive, then I died." He lost connection with himself. That connection was severed, and he had to find out a way to get it back. That's truly poetic shit. God damn.
That I am because of Drake. Blame him. Blame Mr. OVO XO. Come on, y'all. That's crazy. This shit probably got overlooked. He met this fool that night. Saw the bitch him. Just like how you saw the hoe and J-Ho. Shout out to Ariel Smoke. And was like, what the fuck? Who the fuck is this dude? Like his music, but I don't like the artist that makes music. That was his quote. He said that about this fool. The song is about him. Looking at Vanity as a person and being like, what the fuck, bro? This is what I'll end up at if I bury myself in this shit?
Thank you.
Hell no. That's what we're not doing.
I'm a prophet. Not actually, though. I'm not blowing up my head that much. I'm not actually calling myself a prophet. But like, come on now. Didn't I just fucking say that? Word for word, verbatim. We are 36 minutes in out of 2 hours. I'm probably going to do another live and continue from this point, because where are we at? I love that you put this in chapters. Thank God. All right, we're going to finish this Burying the Seeds chapter, and then I'm gonna call it there.
I think it's pretty obvious at this point Kendrick would know that Drake doesn't read or comprehend this stuff, because
At all.
Why would he ever allow Kendrick to get on his album and say what he said on Buried Alive?
Right.
I didn't even know that song existed.
I didn't either.
And when
that part, you hopped on this man's album and dissed him on his own shit. And notice how that's exactly the kind of rapping that Jay-Z was talking about in his interview with GQ, where he was like, we should do more collaborations and spar while we're collaborating. So he's like, instead of two people having a beef and squabbling up and squashing the beef like warriors, having that warrior mentality, you would rather go into enemy territory and work together with them, but diss them at the same time. So you're supporting sneak dissing. You would rather niggas go and diss people on their own tracks?
Nigga.
Instead of just being like, hey, let's just compare our shit. Let's put our skills to the test. Let's spar. This is a friendly competition. Like, what kind of logic does that make? That's very snake-like behavior. But we're gonna finish here.
I was like, what the hell? You should not be in rap if you're gonna let somebody say something like, and then you go on.
You don't edit? There's no editing process. There's no nothing. No
screening process. Nobody's reading these things.
No one's going, hey, I don't think he's saying what I think you think he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting how that got through and made it onto the album, because Buried Alive, when you listen to it, he's really just talking about the reason that I am vain ass person slipping and losing myself further in this artificial world. Blame it on Drake. It's his fault that I'm this way. I'm dying inside, and it's Drake's fault, is what Buried Alive can be summarized to. And that made it onto the album. Every time these Poetic Justice Theory videos pop up, my brain starts kicking into overdrive, and I start picking up on details that I touched on in past videos, and current details that are happening. They're all connecting. The synapses are connecting a little too cleanly, and I don't like that. It's driving me nuts. That's why I take this theory in very small doses, very small increments, because the deeper you go, the more your brain starts to unravel. Oh, because you realize that it's just a spider web. It is an intricate spider web of information and clues and stuff from the past, stuff from the present. Just, it's so interconnected. trying to make sense of it. It's like it's genuinely, if people are able to make sense of it and put it into a coherent timeline, they're insane. They're insane. None of them are sane. They're all crazy as fuck. And I salute y'all, all of y'all, genuinely, for what it was this 38, 37. I salute everybody who's thrown their hats into the ring, diving into this theory. But I'm gonna wrap this up into a part 1. So we are 37 minutes in. This is probably gonna end up being a 3-parter. Let's do it. In the spirit of the Trinity, we shall put it into 3 parts. Because 333, those are divine numbers. It's all divine in this bitch. We are divine entities at work. And that's everybody, all of us. So